So, before I talk extensively about the Wolverine, I have to talk just a little bit about X-Men Origins Wolverine, which I had previously covered. Origins is one of those films that is just almost universally considered bad, but I liked it anyway because I felt that it had more entertainment value than some of the previous films in the franchise. Yes, it has its flaws, but I felt like the internet kind of blew all those flaws way out of proportion and made the film out to be this horrible travesty that shouldn't exist, when in reality it was really more of a flawed yet entertaining movie that was never going to live up to expectations anyway. Also, this is the first time that I'm reviewing the middle part of a trilogy last. I had done Origins in a previous feature, and I reviewed Logan right when it came out, but I am only now getting to the second one, go figure. So, the Wolverine seems to be a direct answer to a lot of the criticisms from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and what we get as a result is a movie that I feel is sort of the polar opposite, and that includes the polar opposite problems. This one isn't nearly as fun or entertaining as the first film, but it's a much more competently made film without too many glaring flaws. Logan has gone full-on hermit mode since the events of X-Men The Last Stand, which seems appropriate since that movie was the real travesty, and he's plagued by flashbacks and visions of Jean Grey, who he was forced to kill in that movie. Then he gets an invitation to travel to Japan by an old friend, a Japanese soldier who he had saved from one of the atomic explosions during World War II. This man, Ichiro Yashida, is dying, and he proposes a deal to Logan. He can use his technology to transfer Logan's healing factor into himself, allowing him to live longer, which would also make Logan mortal, something that he assumes Logan actually wants. Logan just rejects this outright. He says that what's done to him is permanent, it can't be undone, and he suggests that Ichiro shouldn't really want immortality. So, in his sleep, Logan is attacked by Ichiro's henchman Viper, who poisons him, which weakens his healing factor. Now, before Logan can leave Japan, Ichiro dies, and all hell breaks loose as his granddaughter Mariko is kidnapped by the Yakuza. Logan rescues her, and they escape into the city, but they find themselves on the run, which is difficult for Logan as he's, of course, like I mentioned, not healing as fast as he should. He's still much tougher than an average guy, and he heals a lot faster than a normal person, but he's getting hurt more than he should, he's bleeding more than he should, so it's sort of like the difficulty was turned up a notch. So Logan has to uncover exactly what's going on while contending with the main villain, the Silver Samurai, his growing attachment to Mariko, and an ominous prophecy from his self-proclaimed bodyguard Yukio, who claims that she has foreseen Logan's death. And by the way, I guess we're just assuming that this Yukio and the Yukio in Deadpool 2 are probably two completely different characters. So, as I mentioned earlier, this is a much more well put together film than its prequel, but it isn't nearly as fun. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad film. The Wolverine is a tour de force that takes the character out of his element and puts him in a strange situation. It has a lot of high-octane action scenes. Now, while Origins felt like a love letter to the goofy action films of the 70s and 80s, The Wolverine is a much more modern take on action movies, for whatever that's worth. And despite having connections to X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men The Last Stand, and serving itself as a prequel to the next major X-Men movie, which I'll be probably reviewing tomorrow, The Wolverine also stands on its own fairly well. You could easily watch this and not have any clue about the rest of this universe and get everything that you need to get out of it. My main issue is the villain is fairly transparent. There's a twist that you'll see coming a mile away. And to be honest, its sequel Logan would take the same idea of Wolverine being weakened and vulnerable and do it, just way better. So I can't count that last part against this movie too much since Logan did come later, and I really can't say, oh, well, later films did it better, since you just kind of have to review in the moment. Now, the first film in this series, X-Men Origins Wolverine, is a movie that I would normally give a 7 out of 10 to, though when I did my review, I said I was feeling generous, so I gave it an 8. I should probably stop doing things like that. I do it occasionally, and it kind of fucks things up, but I'm probably not going to stop since it's my channel and I can kind of do whatever I want. But I'm going to give this one a 7 as well. I know I said the first one was an 8, but it was really a 7. I was just feeling generous that day. It is better than X-Men Origins Wolverine in a lot of ways, but it's not as entertaining to watch. To me, this is kind of a movie that you're flipping through the channels and you see, oh, the Wolverine is on, and it's only 20 minutes in, I'm going to watch the rest of this. But I can't ever see you saying, I really want to watch the Wolverine, let me get the Blu-ray and watch it. That's kind of my feeling to it. So, yeah, 7 out of 10.